All right, welcome back to the You Can't Fool You podcast, where old school values have a modern edge. Before we start, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, the Vertigo Center, helping you find balance when the world won't stop spinning. So, if you or a loved one are suffering from balance, dizziness, or vertigo, please contact thevertigocenter.com today to take your first steps towards steady living. So, we got Colin Masterson on today. I'm really excited for this conversation. And I've always known of Colin from I went to Garden Valley, he went to Ridley, and I remember was that your junior year? You guys had that really good playoff run, and I remember
That
you
was
guys
my
balled
senior
out.
year.
Senior year, I remember going to that game at Ruston, and
hmm
you guys played what North Penn?
North Penn. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
At
that game
Coatesville.
at Coatesville. Who did you
You're
play? Did you
probably
guys play at Ruston?
no, so you're probably thinking 2 years. You're thinking a year after I graduated. Year before I graduated, we were good too. So they went one step deeper the following year, and they did. You're right, exactly right. So I graduated in 2010, but 2009, 2010 was my last year.
Oh, okay, okay,
The
yeah,
following year, they had another really, really good year too. They were loaded. They had a ton of guys
yeah,
returning, and they had another really strong year.
yeah. Okay, so I remember that. So you're a little bit older than me. And then the first time that I actually met you was walking out of Villanova.
Yeah.
I went to go shadow a football session, and I had my Garden Valley shirt on, and you put the window down, and we're like, "Yo, Garden Valley." Um, Surprisingly, Ridley guy saying something to
Yep.
Garden Valley guy, and you were awesome, man. You were like, "Dude, anything I can do to help you, like, just hit me up, like, let's connect." And then I ended up coming in and shadowing a couple of your softball sessions. And there was one in the gym, and then you had this whole like, um, kind of like competition day set up out on the
Yeah.
field. So I remember
Oklahoma City
that.
Challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So that was pretty cool. But what I want to talk about really is like your story. You know what? Like who? If I said who is Colin Masterson, like give it to me.
Man, all right. Well, I appreciate you having me on first and foremost. Obviously a Delaware County kid, so people always laugh when I tell them I'm from Delco, but they always say like, "Oh, you're rough and tough." So I think on the edges, rough and tough, but I try to be like a lover, and I try to be someone who's constantly, and I take this word from a friend, Brian Peters, but he calls it chasing edges. So constantly trying to expand myself and kind of be on the edges of what's next, and challenging myself. So whether that's in my own physical pursuits, whether that's in changing careers, at 26 years old to go back and become a strength coach when I was originally an accountant. So I'm just someone who wants to constantly be learning. I'm someone who wants to constantly be challenging myself. So in all areas of life, I feel like if I'm not challenging myself every couple of years, I'm getting bored. So
Yeah,
that's kind of who I am, and that's kind of who I've always been.
yeah. So you went back to be a strength coach at 26. So what was that around?
That
What
was
year was that?
2018.
Okay. So
2018. Yep. So I worked. So I went to Widener undergrad. Obviously, played football there for 4 years, and was an accounting major. I became an accounting major because there was no senior project. I was originally going to be a teacher, and then switched over to business. I figured something in business would be good. My oldest brother was in the accounting department, so he was like, "Why don't you do accounting?" I was like, "All right, I'll do accounting." So
yeah,
it has served me in different parts of my career, which has been nice to be able to kind of like do some bookkeeping for myself, but at the same time, I sat down at the desk the first day of my job as as an accountant, and I was like, "What am I doing?" I had constantly been someone who was up from 5 a.m. with football workouts, and have early classes and whatnot. And I had to be at work till 9, and I had to be there till 5. It felt like such a stalemate in the middle of my day. So I did that for a little while, and then I had the itch to get back into coaching. I coached at Ridley for a little while, and then I felt like I wanted something a little bit bigger than that. The kids were great. I just wanted to see if I could do it at the next level. So I was constantly like looking up strength coach, strength coach. I thought it'd be so cool to be a strength coach. It permitted me to play at the next level, permitted me to play in high school, being able to get bigger, faster, stronger. So I'm like, maybe I kind of like want to do this. So I reached out to one of my buddies who was a former teammate of mine in college, and he was at Alabama as an intern. He's like, I could probably get you a position down at the University of Maryland. I'll see if you can get an interview down there. And I called Mike Tucker from Villanova. He was at San Jose State at the time. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about being a strength coach. What do you think? He said, don't do it. I always tell people that, and they laughed. He said, don't do it. So I did it anyway, right? But I milled on that job for about 6 months. So I want to do this. Do I not want to do this? How much money do I have saved up? Am I going to make money? Can I afford it? So I went and took the interview, and they told me, "Oh, you got the job." It's like, of course I got the job. I was making no money, right? But at the
Yeah,
time, it
yeah,
seemed like such a big deal for me, and I was so excited. So I quit my accounting job, and I went and lived in a studio apartment with one of my buddies, Sam, who was in law school at American, and he let me shack up for the first 3 months of the internship. And my first day was January 1st, 2018. Um, and I remember I woke up at 3:45 in the morning in DC, had to drive to College Park, Maryland, and I had to be there by 5 a.m. And then I was there from 5 a.m. till about 9 p.m. that night. And I did that for the next, God, I think it was 8 or 9 months I was down there. So it was just a constant thing. But the energy that I felt doing that job versus sitting at the desk being an accountant was like, this is where I'm meant to be.
yeah. Dude, similar stories. Like I was a finance and accounting major, and then, um, I remember journaling and being like, man, I just wish I would like what I want is something that I loved as much as football. Like
Totally.
I played Division 3 football as well, and
Or a
like
sinus, right?
yeah, and then like once you're done, it's like, man, this is it. I've been playing football for 18 years. Like
Yep.
when August comes around, you're like, let's go, and then you realize, oh, this is it. And I remember, I went through a couple jobs, trying to be a financial advisor. I got into accounting a little bit, and then I was in a sales job. And similarly, was sitting there one day, and I'm like, dude, this can't be it. Like this can't be it. I can't do this. And then
Yeah.
that's how I started down getting into coaching and training. I went to go work for my mom who's a PT, um,
Yeah.
and then I actually didn't do it, but very similarly, I almost took a grad assistant job at Boston College, which almost ruined my life because
Yeah.
similar. But I had no money saved up, and
Yeah.
and I wasn't getting paid, and I would have had to move
Yeah.
to Boston, and I almost did. Like I was committed to going, um, and it almost ruined my life, and then I didn't. So thank God I didn't do it. But I
I love it.
understand,
Yeah.
I understand the urge to like want to get and be a part of that environment because like I still feel it, like that's why I'll text, talk sometimes and want to go to Villanova. Or, like I was just out in Notre Dame
I
this
saw
past
you.
week, past weekend, and like seeing their strength and conditioning staff, and it's like, man, this is like sick. The environment's great, um, and that experience, I'm sure having that would have been incredible. So I do crave that. I do crave that sometimes.
I definitely will jump back, for the when I graduated college, I would say I had some lost years in there where I didn't really
Yeah,
know what I wanted to do, and it was like very uncertain. I was like, it's like, oh, I can't wait to grow up and graduate college. I'm like, this sucks. Like I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Like I'm making okay money as an accountant, but I hate it. I can't do this for the rest of my like. What am I going to do? And it's like to take that jump to go make no money and potentially want to be a coach and potentially not get a job. Who knows how long that leash is going to be? But I was fortunate to get a job at Maryland and then obviously at Villanova and spend 5 years at Villanova. So I definitely still crave, man. I think about it sometimes. Like I have a lot of buddies that are still in the field, still coaching. I have guys that are position coaches at some high end universities, even some guys in the NFL. And I'm like, oof, maybe do I still have it?
yeah,
But I found some different things that I'm definitely into it. And I love the freedom that I've kind of built in my life
yeah,
of controlling a lot of my hours, and obviously it's taken some time to get to that point, but being able to control my life a little bit more, being able to hop on a podcast midday, which is, super cool. Um, it's something that you definitely don't have control of your time when you are at some of those bigger universities, and, you're running out of the tunnel 10 Saturdays a year and it's the best energy ever, but you could be at a D1 school one year and be at a D3 school next year. And we both play D3. We know it's not all glitz and glamour at the D3 level.
no, there's definitely some challenges to it. But what was that? So, because this is kind of what I went through, and I'm interested to see like where your mind was at. So, like, I would say, yeah, I volunteer coach high school football, and I love training kids, and so like your typical, and again I was your typical high school boy going to play football in college, and it's like I think most kids that I talk to, it's like, hey, what are you going to study? They're like, oh, finance, and so like I was I
Yeah.
was that I was that kid, and why most if you ask like most young men why is it finance, well there's like a status that's kind of tied to it. There's the opportunity for a lot of money, which also provides status and power, and there's like this kind of, I guess, ego driven reasons as to doing that. Maybe I'm not saying everybody, but I would probably guess like most people if they don't know what to do, finance. Well, oh, why? The things that are it's going to get you.
Sure.
And so, you know, I remember sitting there and this was probably like right after I graduated college and I was studying for like my series, the insurance test and the series 7, which I did terrible on and never passed. And I remember thinking like, all right, well maybe I should try to get my personal trainer cert. You know, like this is cool. And then but like there was such an ego thing involved going, no, I can't be a personal trainer. I can't do that. You know, and
Yeah.
like but like in here I felt it like that is so me. Like if there's
Yeah.
anything like that's so in alignment. But there was such an ego that I was fighting against myself to be like, nah, I can't be it because of the title or like whatever the status might, you know, come with it. And I look back on that now, I'm like, there's no way I could do anything else except the thing that I'm doing right now.
Totally. Yeah, it is interesting. I think you're so right. It's like you're going against the grain if you were to not go, I guess, like the standard route of like go 4 years in college, go get an internship, go get a job, work for 40 years and then eventually retire, right? Like that's kind of what we're sold in college, same thing with my parents. But what I wanted to study was entrepreneurship. They didn't have entrepreneurship at Widener, which I wish they would have because it would have been very cool for me to just like dip my toe in that. Um, but yeah, I think most people that are trainers that start out as trainers are either like, kids that never went to college and stuff like that. So it
Yeah,
kind of has
yeah,
like that bad rap around it. There's obviously not a huge entry point to get in to be a trainer, so anyone can kind of do it. It's like there's people that have started out, people like a James Smith who started out as a trainer and now have built, enterprises for themselves. It's pretty cool to see. And it's just, how much longevity can you have in the game because it's not easy,
yeah.
right? We talked about it kind
No,
of a little bit off air. Like it's not easy to build up a book of clients, not easy to constantly have, retention from clients. It's not easy to own your schedule because in the beginning, everyone's a starving trainer, right? You want to work with everybody. You want to work with athletes again. You want to work with some gen pop. You probably don't want to work with people that are doing rehab stuff. Like you find out who that is. Like for a lot of my time, I went to work with athletes, but living here in New York City, athletes aren't, the total addressable market for athletes is very, very small. It's a lot of finance professionals. It's a lot of entrepreneurs. It's a lot of people that are in, IT and whatnot. So I've definitely shifted who I've worked with over the years. But I still crave working with athletes. I think I love working with that. So sometimes you get those former athletes that are, still wanting to train a certain way, which I think I gravitate towards, which, could help me in some facets of my business, but could hurt me too because I'm not working with the everyday stay-at-home mom who wants to lose 10 to 15 pounds. Like I want to do
yeah,
a little bit more than that with people. But sometimes it's just getting those people in the door and then eventually showing them the way athletes train and the way, gen pop people train.
hmm
It's really not all that different, right? They're
yeah,
training the same way.
100%.
So
Yeah,
I think it's myself dropping my ego to be like, how do you want to train these people, right? How do you talk to them? It's like they have an athlete inside them. They just don't know it yet.
yeah. No, I definitely feel that because like it does kind of ebb and flow. And I remember, coming into Villanova, the probably one of the first things that you realize is like, dude, you just got to get your reps up. Like take as many reps as you can. And like that was just the mentality that I went into. It's like any session, and like I'm just ripping sessions. Doesn't
Yep.
matter. Like anytime, I don't care how many. Like just ripping sessions all the time. And so you start to, and like that's how I started was working with my mom, who there was a definitely wasn't working with athletes. I was working with, it was like a PT aid. So you had workers comp, motor vehicle, like a bunch of different
Sure.
types of people. And then but in here you're like, man, I just like this is how I train. You end up trying to put your bias or your beliefs or the way you train on to people because you're like, man, I just want to work with athletes. And then so you try to
Yep.
just create that experience by giving it to the people you're training. And then as you go, you're like, all right, maybe I probably shouldn't do this to feed my ego.
Yeah.
um but like you learn so much along the way. And then when you do get to the athletes, it's like, all right, let's rip it. And then if it
Yeah.
feels great. But having the variety, I feel like has served me well over the years, like training different types of people. I feel like if I was pigeonholed into one specific demographic, I wouldn't have the skill set that I have.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think James said it on his webinar. He's like, you want to solve a problem, you don't want to solve a person, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what it is. Like we're not solving the athlete. It's like maybe it is helping someone put on 10 pounds. Maybe it's helping someone, helping someone get their first pull up, like solve a problem that they have. That way your market's a lot bigger and be like, oh, I only work with athletes, because again, some people don't see themselves as athletes, even though they are, or they were at one point. So
Yeah.
I think it's trying to solve problems rather than trying to solve people.
What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned about yourself over the course of time? Say Colin after he graduated college when he was that guy in accounting to Colin Masterson today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely more certain of who I am, and I'm
Yeah.
unapologetically me. I think that's the biggest thing, right? It's trying to step into your own shoes and find out who you are, because, as you alluded to, when you quit the corporate job and you go back to work in sports, like you definitely get some like eyes from people like, why would you do that? Why are you doing that? You're at this point in your career. You should be getting married. You should be having kids. It's like very different when people say, and like I'm just uber confident in who I am now. Like I'm doing what I want to do because it's what I want to do. Like this is my life to live. You guys lived your lives, right? Your life's not affecting mine, mine's not affecting yours. So I'm just going to do it my way. And I'm going to have to deal with either the pros or the cons or both, that
Mm.
comes along with it. So I think that's the first thing is like just being very confident in who I am and what I want out of life. I think that takes time, right? Like there's
Yeah.
definitely, you know, times, days, still now that I'm like, am I doing the right thing? And I'm like, okay, well, sometimes there's bad days along the way. So that's probably the first one. I think I have more of a risk tolerance than I originally gave myself credit for, because I would say I'm not super risky. By the way, I like maybe do my investing. I'm not super risky in like certain areas of life, but when it comes to business and like willing to bet on myself, like I am willing to take on a little bit more risk because I'm just so confident in me that I'll come through and I'll continue to show up day after day after day. And it's not always pretty, but that's the piece of it that kind of keeps you going. So I think it's another piece of it. And then something else I learned about myself is I guess it's just okay to be different, right? Like I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing that people you try to fit in these, groups and stuff like that. Like you and I were talking a little bit, like I said, off air is, some of the friends you've had for years and like you're doing a little bit different things and those friendships fade, you get new friends and those friendships fade, you get new friends. And like my core friends that I've like are true friends, I have like a good five of them. They've been through it all. I've had very much ones that are kind of there through different ranks of it and then have kind of like shed the skin from them too. So I think the ones that accept you for who you are always going to be there. And there's going to be ones that help elevate to the next level. And then they've served their time and purpose, and you kind of just keep going along your way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's true. Everybody's on a different path. Like you got to know your own, your own journey. And like, I think when we talk about like masculinity, really, it's like masculinity is going out on the journey as a man. You go out and you got to do the thing, like put yourself out there. You got and that is the reward. That's how you figure it out is by taking the steps to going on the journey, right?
Sure.
And a lot of even I can just listen in your voice, like you're super confident, you're grounded in who you are. And when I talk to not just high school boys or kids, boys in college. It's like I think younger kids in general, and I think this is a normal problem, a normal thing to like battle with yourself is confidence. Like
Yeah,
I think all kids struggle with confidence. It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. But the one because I coach a lot of boys, it's if you ask them, it's like confidence. They're obsessed with confidence.
totally.
Like how do I get more confident, right? And it's like okay, well how do you get more confident? Like what is it? What is it? Did you ever like look back and be like, what was that moment for you? Where like, no, I'm actually pretty confident. Or like, did you ever struggle with confidence too?
I think I struggle with confidence. I just think you feel you're never ready for something, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Like when I go back to my playing days in high school, when I'm a sophomore, if they were like, "Hey, you're playing tonight," I'd be like, "I'm not ready," But it's like you're gonna figure it out one way or another. So I think you don't give yourself enough credit for the work that you've already put in. Like I did put in the work and I probably was prepared. Was I ready to go have an amazing, sophomore campaign? Probably not. But you just get better by almost like failing more, right? Like if I would have had a bad sophomore year, it's okay. My junior would have been better. My senior would have been better. I think if anything, my senior year could have been even more amplified by having more mistakes my junior year. So I think the biggest thing kids struggle with is it's almost like embarrassment to fail. And I think
Yeah.
that's really, really hard, especially with social media and whatnot. It's like you don't want to be a kid. I was actually telling a hysterical story to my girlfriend last night was my sophomore year was the first time I ran out for the high school team. Like my whole life, it's the only thing you ever want. It's like such a big moment. Like you're running out with the Green Raiders. I'm so excited. And my head football coach is like, "Hey, you got to take the football bag down because you're the third string quarterback." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? The biggest moment of my life. I have to carry this big bag down. I'm getting overshadowed by everything." But it's that piece of like not being afraid to be the guy who's putting in the extra work. It's not being afraid to be the person that, hey, I took the last shot and I missed. It's not being afraid
Yeah,
to, ask the question like I actually don't know what a post corner is. Like, could you please explain to me? Even though it's in the actual verbiage, like some kids just don't know, and like that's okay, right? So I think being able to raise your hand when you're wrong, put your neck out there and sometimes have some failure along the way, like it's only going to help you grow. And I think I've only learned that by taking a look back and being like, my freshman campaign at Widener, I was a starting quarterback. I got benched game 6. My sophomore year, I am a safety. My junior, senior year, I'm an All-American safety. So it's like during that sophomore year, freshman year, I wanted to quit football. I'm like, this sucks. I
yeah,
was the quarterback in high school. I wanted to be a quarterback, and now I'm playing a different position. Now I'm going to play. Things worked out for me. I ended up having a better career. But it's like I would never found that out if I didn't just say, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to put my head down, trust the work, and make these things happen. So I think it's the biggest thing kids can do is just like if you fail, even if you look silly, like shrug it off, like come back up, ready to go, and things will eventually work out for you.
yeah. There's so many similarities here that I didn't know because like
Yeah.
similar. I mean, I was a quarterback all my life too, and then junior year I got thrown in and against Upper Darby, and their Upper Darby was good that year, and like I just wasn't ready. Like I was small. I wasn't and the game was just too fast, and I did horrible. And then senior year I switched to receiver. And then when I had a good senior year, good enough to go play in college, and then I battled in college, and then sophomore year I got a Liz Frank injury that took me out, and then junior year like it was horrible, and I wanted to switch to safety, and I actually think I would have been a better safety, and they wouldn't let me, and I almost quit. Similarly, like almost quit football, which would have been you know crazy for me to think about.
But you stuck it out, right? And that's the most
Yeah,
important thing. I think that's what you're kind of seeing in the college realm this day is like kids are transferring left and right, new schools, this school, that school. And it's like, hey, be willing to see it through. I think Ty Simpson's one of the guys from Alabama who
yeah,
saw it through, and the Rams picked him. And that was one of the main reasons they picked him. Like, you saw it through. You're willing to sit for a couple of years and then start at a place like Alabama where you could easily transfer, make $2.5 million somewhere else. Like, see it through. So I think for a lot of kids who are listening to this stuff, it's like, be willing to see it through, even if it kind of sucks in the moment.
yeah. I mean, I think Arch Manning too, kind of. It
Yeah,
was however many was it, 1 or 2 seasons where he was behind Quinn Ewers, and like
two,
no, I
yeah,
picked Texas to go to Texas, and like
yep,
like I mean you got to respect that, um, and especially just in college football now, like it's like the Wild West, and
yeah. Your time will come, right?
yeah, absolutely, you got to. I mean, you don't just like in anything in life, like you don't just deserve stuff. Like you
Yeah,
have to show that. I mean, one that you're committed to the process, and I think in anything really similar to like we were talking about going on the journey, it's like
yeah.
the universe will reward you, but it's going to test your commitment. I think I'm going to butcher the quote off the top of my head, so I'm not going to say it, but it's by Ralph Waldo Emerson. It says something essentially with that message. It's like the universe is going to test how committed you are to this thing,
Yeah,
and so you know
yeah.
what are you gonna do when your back's up against the wall? Are you gonna bail and do something else,
Yeah.
or are you gonna hunker down?
Well, I think that's why you're seeing such a big shift in like I just competed in High Rocks this past weekend, right? And like High Rocks is massive, 55,000 people competed in New York. But I think there's a piece of it that's like very interesting. Like so many people can compete because the timeline between signing up and competing in High Rocks is not a huge buy-in, really, for the everyday person. Where I did an Ironman and I had to train almost for a full year prior. You don't see as many
Yeah,
people
yeah,
complete Ironmans, but like to me, you're gonna be tested along the way of training an Ironman, and then you're gonna be tested on the day of Ironman. It's not, people always say like, "What time did you finish in? What time did you finish in?" It's like, I finished in 14 hours in Lake Placid. Whether it's good, bad, and different, you finished because there are multiple times throughout that day that you're like, I don't know if I have this, but I put the work in. I'm just going to trust the process and keep going, keep going. It's literally people said to quote like one foot in front of the other, like it's literally one foot in front of the other, for
Yeah.
14 hours, and then you eventually get to where you are. And I look at that process and I'm like, I'm proud of not only finishing the race, but the 9 months of training prior. It's the same thing when
Yeah.
I was a freshman in football in high school, and it's like, am I ever even gonna play for the Green Raiders? Like that was my biggest goal. And it's like, I don't know. I wait 3 years to get one start, 3 years to get a start. Like that's crazy to think about, but that's just what it was at the high school level. Like you just wait your turn, and like it was so
That was
accepted.
it. Yeah.
Kids don't
Yeah.
kids don't want to wait their turn now, especially you guys. You guys did two platoon, right? So kids to play early was like, oh my god, that guy's playing. He's playing as a junior, like he must be a stud. And it's like that's
Yeah.
just what it was. It's crazy. But these kids want to play as freshmen now. It's like relax, like you're just not ready yet, and there's a reason why you're not ready. You need to go through, you know, all the sorts of things. You need to learn the offense. You need to get bigger, faster, stronger. You need to, be resilient on game night when all these different things are coming at you. So I think kids are just in such a hurry to get to where they want to get to, but they actually don't know where they want to get to.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. I mean, because I kind of felt, well, that was kind of it. Like it was the senior. The senior always got the chance to start as
Sure.
as the quarterback, right? Um, and like that didn't happen to me my senior year. I ended up playing receiver, but again, the kid that was better. He was better than me at quarterback, like no
Sure.
doubt.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, you kind of just wait your turn, and in some instances, kids are better than others, and it's
Yeah.
obvious, and the best at the end of the day, the best kids got to play, um, but you do have to earn it every day, and it's not about like the outcome. Like I feel like the process, at least in like the Philly area, has been so watered down just because of the whole
Yeah.
success
Yeah.
thing. Like I hate that word, but like it's the journey really is the reward. It is about the process and how you get there. So
Totally.
like you said, it's the one foot in front of the other because those themes and like just like all I think youth sports really are. I think we've made youth sports into such a finite game where actually the lessons from youth sports could be really are an infinite game where it's like okay, all those lessons you can carry on for the rest of your life because it's going to happen
Yeah.
in a career. What about your relationship that you have with the partner? Like, okay, that's going to be tested. That's something you got to show up for every day. You can't just not
Sure.
show up. Um, and like those are the things that sports should be teaching kids. And the one thing I want to ask you is because I feel like a lot of athletes struggle with this is I feel like you had sort of three phases of this. You had Colin the athlete, right?
Hmm.
Then you had Colin as, well, I'm an accounting major, I should be in accounting. And then you had Colin that did the Ironman. I'm saying the Ironman because I feel like a lot of people that I've talked to who've done Ironmans, their identity gets wrapped up in I'm an Ironman. And so athletes, my identity totally was wrapped up in I'm just a football player. And then when you're not a football player anymore, you're it feels like your world's sort of crumbling.
Yeah.
Or people put it into their job or their relationship. So were there any identity shifts or any like struggles with kind of figuring out like that identity part or letting go of an identity?
Yeah, I mean, the athlete one for the longest time was right. Like, still, I think I hold on to the competitiveness from the athlete side, but I no longer claim myself as an athlete. Like my playing days are over, right? But
Yeah.
how can I pass on what I learned through my time playing to other people, right? I still enjoy watching sports. I still be around sports, but like people ask me, like, do you watch sports on a nightly basis? Like, I haven't watched one piece of the finals.
Yeah, me
People are like, but
neither.
you love basketball, and I'm like, well, yeah, I loved it, but like, it doesn't serve me now. Like, there's a different part of my life that I kind of moved on to, but you're talking 10 years of a process for me to get to that point. Like it's taken a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Ironman. Like it was amazing the first time I did it, and then I did it a second one because I was like, I want to just prove that I can keep doing them. This year I'm doing a 70.3 rather than a full, and it's like, do I need to prove myself that I can do a full Ironman anymore? I've done it. Like what else is next in life? So I feel like I'm doing a better job of being like, what's next rather than like, look at me, what I've done, because
Mm.
no one actually cares, right? You think they care, but no one's actually paying attention to you. People still laugh when I tell them I used to be an accountant. They're like, "You're an accountant? I can't believe you were ever sitting at a desk." And it's like, I mean, that I found that really quick. That didn't serve me, right? So I
Yeah.
kind of moved on from that process. And my goal is to eventually be a business owner, right? I want to be a business owner. I don't want to be the person who's on the floor doing the training every day. So like, I'm trying to work through the next process of that cycle. How do I get there? It's doing the hours on the floor, eventually building a business big enough where I can hire the people to work for me, and then I'm not, running the business anymore, or I'm not working in the business anymore. I'm running the business from an outside perspective. So I think it's just constantly trying to mature and level up to the next phase of your career. But the athlete one was the one I held on to the longest for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that. Like I've what 2016, 10 years, like 10 years, probably can't say I've probably shed it completely. I'm pretty close, but can't say
Yeah,
that I've
yeah.
I've shed it completely. I mean, especially when I mean, because I still help coach. I
You're
play.
still in it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm still in it. So you're like, can I still do this? Like, can I line up against some of these
100%.
kids? And you're like, man, I miss it. Like, I don't think it ever really kind of goes away, which is why you come,
No,
which is
yeah,
why you then coach. But like trying to shed that identity is hard, especially because that's an identity you've attached to for whenever you started playing football. Like I started at
so many
5
years. Yep,
to
same.
22, so like so that's like who I was, and so in by the time you're done playing, so 2016 2026, it's about like 10 years that you're like battling with it.
Totally.
And it's so true. My interest in watching, like I haven't watched one thing in the finals or
Yeah,
like the Stanley Cup. I mean, I paid attention to the Flyers, but a little bit, but like I used to be into that stuff all the time. Like that's what I
yeah,
got
yeah, yeah,
geared up to watch, and now it's like, yeah, I'm good. Like I'm good. That was
yeah.
shedding that part of like who I was to move on to something else, which is like hopefully becoming a father and a business owner and
Totally.
a better uncle and somebody who's gonna serve society. And I think that's just part of maturing and just taking on more
100%.
responsibility. Like I can't sit on the couch and watch, you know, 12 hours of college football like I used to. Even though it does happen, it does still happen, and every
I
Saturday is
hear you.
reserved for Notre Dame. But you know, you just kind of shed those parts of your life to grow. You stretch that
Yeah,
part of yourself.
absolutely. I think there's a cool thing I saw the other day, but there's a good author. You probably know who it is, but if not, you should read some of his stuff. It's Brad Stulberg. He does a really good job of writing about
Okay.
some of that stuff. But he talked about Wemby. Um,
Yeah.
he was in I don't know, one of the parks in New York,
I
and he was
saw I
drawing
saw that, and he was drawing something.
drawing a sketch. Be like, he's in game three of the finals coming up. Like, why is he drawing a sketch? It's like, well, this guy's willing to on the floor. He's the most competitive guy. He wants to win a championship, but he's able to remove himself in such a way that's actually like admirable. That like he's not focused on the game, right? He's focused on life outside of it. Because again, as athletes, like everyone's time frame comes to an end, right? He's 40, well, he's 22, but
Yeah.
someone like LeBron, even LeBron, the best of the best, like he's 41, he's going to be done soon. What's
Yeah.
next? I don't think LeBron's going to have an identity crisis, but at the same time, it's like everyone's playing days come to an end eventually. So having outside interest, I think makes that transition a little bit easier. And I didn't do a great job of it when I was younger, but I feel like I'm doing a better job of it now as I'm getting a little bit older.
Yeah. Well, also I think like when we were going through it, I mean, wait, are you 2 years older than me? What year did you graduate?
34.
Okay, so I'm 32, so you're 2 years. Like people weren't really talking about that though when we
Mm-mm.
were getting out, like 2016, 2014. Like it wasn't really topic a conversation, And I think
No.
also, I guess this is just to plug some D3 sports here. Is I think D3 athletes kind of get left out. They don't, because they're not playing and they're on their TV. There's most of them never go pro, and like
Yeah.
they don't play at the next level, and as they kind of get they left out. But it's still like, if you actually think about it, the people who are playing for literally free are and doing a lot of almost the same time commitment and
Yeah.
is
Oh yeah.
D3 athletes, because you don't get scholarships to play Division 3. And so
No.
like, I mean, none of that was talked about to at least Division 3. Like you don't get any of that support, or like
You're doing
people
it for the love of
forget.
the game, baby.
Yeah, and so like people forget, like the D3 athletes go through the same sort of things. Just because you're not playing in front of, you're not playing at Notre Dame Stadium or Alabama or LSU in front of all those people, and like everybody's watching you. Like you're playing for the love of the game. Like it's still part of who
Totally.
you are.
I think it's a big piece of the recruiting process too that kids struggle with is they want to go, kids tweet out their D1 offers. I got 13 D1 offers. Well, whatever it is.
Yeah,
Like, and amazing. Good for them, right? You and I would probably love to both have had D1 offers, but
and
D3 made
probably
us
would have
who
tweeted him out too if that was like kind
totally,
of the thing, you know?
totally, right? But I think, I was fortunate to work with some kids going through the process of it. And, they want to go to Penn State, they want to go to a big school. And I'm like, go where you're going to play because there's
Hmm.
nothing worse than not playing. Being the kid who played in high school and then, played a little bit my freshman year and then sat for 6 games. It felt like forever until I played
Yeah,
again. It's like, just go where you're going to play. Even if you have a chance of playing, like, yeah, it's great to go to the big school and say you went to Penn State and you sat the bench for years. Like no one cares. What you want to do is you want to go play and compete for championships in the best way you possibly can. So it's like if you can actually provide some sort of service on the field, like go to that spot because if you're good enough, they're going to find you. And if not, you're going to move on just like everyone else.
yeah,
There's what 2% of people that go and play at the next level. So it's really not that big of a deal. And there's plenty of other things you can do outside of football and any other sport that you'd be very happy with as soon as you start to expand some of those interests.
yeah. I feel like there is this infatuation with kids like wanting to go D1. I mean, of course, like I had the same,
Crazy.
with the same thing. But like I don't know, like you said it's like you play the sport to play, right? And so like go where you're gonna play. You just want to be on the team, or are you gonna go where you're gonna play, or be at least able to compete to play?
It was the same thing when I worked at when I was at the University of Maryland, right? I went to a conference and I, had a University of Maryland logo on. I was 26 at the time. People asked me, "You work at Maryland? That's sick. How'd you get a job there?" Some kids are some smaller schools. I'm like, first of all, I'm an intern, so like, let's put that all aside. But when I was taking my next job opportunities, I had some opportunities at some bigger schools. I had an opportunity at the University of Florida. I had an opportunity at the University of Cincinnati, and I ended up not taking them because I was at Villanova and I was getting my MBA at Villanova. And I thought for myself and, the longevity of my career, I'd be better served getting an MBA from Villanova and learning from them rather than, go run out of the tunnel at the University of Florida, go run out of the tunnel at the University of Cincinnati. Like it would have been an amazing experience, but it wouldn't have put me where I am today. And I don't like, regret those moments. I'm super happy in decisions I made and I'm at peace with them, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, and then I think the other part that he says like if you're good enough, they'll find you.
Good enough, they'll find you. My dad always told me that you're good enough, they're going to find you. They never found me. So
Yeah,
that's all right.
yeah. My dad would say the same thing. He still says the same thing. But it's true. Kids are on all these travel teams and traveling all over. It's like, listen, if you're good, they're they're gonna find it. There's a kid at Garden Valley who just literally just did this. So Paxton, he's a senior, he's a dog. He's an absolute dog, and he I think he was getting looks for D3. I think he played. I think maybe like F&M was looking at him, like some schools, and then supposedly he did had a great year wrestling, right? And wrestled this kid that was going to West Virginia and beat him in, I guess, I don't know what they call it, the playoffs. I don't know what they call it for
Yeah,
wrestling.
yeah.
And so we beat him, and then Paxton reached out to West Virginia and basically said, this kid like boom, boom, and now Paxton's going to West Virginia,
There you have it.
and like, but he wasn't like on all these wrestling teams. He wasn't going like this and that.
Yeah,
It's like he's a good baseball player too, and it's like That's a pretty cool story. Like, listen,
very cool.
if you're good, you don't need to be on all these teams and stuff for them to find it. Like, if you're good, they'll find you. Don't worry, they're looking.
100%. Yeah, youth sports are a disaster right now. It's a shame.
Yeah,
It's a
it
shame.
is.
But you know what? I think it's a huge opportunity for you and I, right? I know I want to be a dad as well, like to try to change the landscape a little bit and say, hey, it doesn't have to be travel teams and whatnot. Like you can play for your local rec area for up until you're 10 to 12. And then if you want to start doing a little bit of travel, like we'll make that decision if it's best for the family, best for you. But like some kids are at showcases every weekend, whatnot, and they're getting injured. And, parents would tell me they're going to go play professional. It's like, let's just tone it down. Let's just try and get to the next level. And then we'll try
Yeah,
and get to the next level. And eventually, if it does happen, it happens, right? There's some amazing kids who have made the jump, but they're very few and far in between. I think you and I can probably name a couple of people, on one hand that made it to the next level. We're like, that's amazing, right? We also know a lot of other people that never even made it to the following year, right? Freshman year, sophomore year, junior year. So there's a big attrition rate in sports, and everyone wants to make it to the promised land, but it's definitely challenging to get there.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of pressure on the kids too. You know, I mean, parent from pressure or pressure from the parents and coaches,
Totally.
like to get scholarship. And I actually think what you said is a huge way to actually fix the problem. It's like let's bring back rec league.
Yeah,
Like rec league sports were great. Like
the
playing
best.
like BYC or
Yeah,
I grew up playing it mostly at Aston AA. Like it was great.
sure.
Rec league was awesome, and now I don't even know how the structure really works, but I know like the BYC, I don't know, they go to like Florida for like the playoff. It's like what happened to play what happened to like the Burt Bell and the Delco
Yeah,
League where you're playing, just the I don't know. It's and
local talent. Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah,
some of the kids this actually amazes me. Some of the kids are on like three football teams.
yep,
It's like how can you possibly be on three football teams?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I struggle to
I
be on
mean,
one.
yeah, I mean one was enough. Right? I mean,
Yeah,
imagine being like 12 and you're on two, three football teams. Like you play like BYC, and then I don't know, like I don't know if like middle school football even exists anymore.
I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you.
I don't know because BYC is the big one. And I guess it is also probably hard to find coaches to sit like, but still,
Sure.
I think we should make like your school sports and like rec league sports. Like let's build them up because that's where most of your kids are gonna
Yeah,
develop, and it's like you know what? You might actually need a little more time to get better, and that's okay.
yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, make rec league sports great again, right? That's what
Yeah,
everyone
let's
wants to
do it. Yeah, let's do
say.
it. I think it's great for kids, and it's because that's where your friends are playing too. That's why you play is
Totally.
to be around, to be around your friends.
I tell people all the time, I think the biggest thing for me is I was a good student, but I was not a great student. I did very well in school, but I only did well in school because I had to because of sports, right? I was an
Yeah.
A's and B's students in high school, but that's because if you got a C, you couldn't play sports. Like
Mhm.
that kept me above the line. Like I needed to. My
Yes. Yeah.
parents were
Oh yeah.
very strict about it, but when it came to college, I had like a I don't know 3.7 something, whatever. I did very well in college, but I didn't do well in college because I was smart. I did well in college because I didn't want to be in study hall. That's like the main reason
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did it. So if you had a B, you'd be in study hall. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to be in study hall. I'll just get all A's. Like there it is. So I think sports helped me in so many different ways in life that it doesn't get enough credit for. It's like, yeah, it helped me make amazing friends, but it also put me through high school and college. Not saying I wouldn't have made it through, but it would have been a little bit more of a struggle. And I made it through with like flying colors because of what sports allowed me to do, but also, challenged me to be like, hey, if you don't want to be in study hall, get your grades up. You don't have to be in study hall anymore. And like those extra 2 hours a week where I'm not in study hall were massive in college. Like they were just fun to like be with your friends or watch film or whatever it would be that I use the time for. Was nice. So I think sports challenge you in so many different ways than hoisting the trophy at the end of the year. Um,
Yeah.
which people think it's all about.
Yeah. Oh, similarly, I actually don't know what I would have done if I didn't play football because I think I only applied to I went on a couple recruiting visits, one to like Albright and then like Misericordia and then
Yeah,
um Ursinus, and I think I only applied to Ursinus. Like I actually don't if I didn't get into Ursinus, and I think probably just barely got into Ursinus.
yeah.
I actually don't know what I would have done. Like it was
Probably
the
been
only
community college.
probably, or yeah, I don't know. And so like football was it was the only thing that like again
Yeah,
put me through school, or at least allowed me to get to school, And
totally,
so I don't know what I would have done, but all those the qualities and the values and character that I had was built through sports, mostly football, but like sports in general,
totally.
you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
tell everybody what you're up to now. What is what are you up to now, and like what you're doing, what is coming up. Let everybody know.
Yeah, yeah. So currently, obviously, I'm a coach in the New York City area. I would consider myself I tend not to use the word hybrid coach because everyone's a hybrid athlete now, but I would consider myself a hybrid coach in the fact that I do a lot of my coaching in person, but I also do a lot of my coaching online. So I'm split in the style of coaching, but I don't put hybrid coaching in my profile. Like, teach me how to do high rocks. I'm like, no, 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 no. It's not that kind of hybrid. Um, so I'm a hybrid coach. I help people, from everything from building muscle to losing fat to body recomposition to optimizing some of their goals if they do want to run races in X, Y, and Z because I've done a handful myself. I'm also in the midst of trying to sign a lease for our first boutique fitness studio here in New York City. So my
Nice.
girlfriend, a business partner, and I, we are raising capital right now to open up our first studio, hoping to have something open actually this fall. So we're
Sweet.
super excited. So we're going through some of the lease negotiation process right now. And that's a project that we're going to try and scale and, be the owner and operator of, not just be a coach that's on the floor. So eventually I'd like to have the online business, but at the same time, really putting a lot of eggs in the basket of opening a boutique fitness place in New York and then hopefully surrounding areas as in Connecticut, New Jersey, maybe even Philadelphia, and try to scale that business. But that's something we've been putting a lot of time in. Obviously, I come from the strength background. Strength and conditioning is a huge piece of it, but there's been a boom in other areas of fitness as well that we're trying to capitalize on. And I think boutique fitness is the way to go. It still allows to have an intimate coach setting. It also allows the business to generate a decent amount of revenue so you can be profitable. So that's that. And then, it's like joked about, but I'm continues to build my online brand, right? I know you and
Yeah.
I are in a similar
Yeah.
spot here, but I think it's the most important thing. Name, image, and likeness is a huge thing for athletes. We missed that era. You and I
Yeah.
would have been making millions at the D3 level. So, but continue to build, my own name, image, and likeness, and that's just for the fact that I think if you can build a personal brand and people can, build trust online, people trust you for who you are, you're able to do business with people and create other opportunities out in this world. I think social media can be a huge driver for success, but I also think there's a ton of negativity on social media as well. So I try to do my best to be more of a creator than a consumer, but I'm still a consumer at the same time. So I think it's another piece that I am very much focused on in the long game of social media. I just finished 1 year of 5 years of straight posting.
Let's
So
go.
hopefully next time I'm on here, that streak is still going.
Yeah.
But those are the main things that I'm working on, man. And then, continue to just shift my life into the next phase to hopefully, same thing, get married, become a father, which seems like it makes everything a little bit more challenging, but it makes everything that much more rewarding at the same time. So that's kind of what I'm up to, man. And it's been an exciting ride to think I was a kid who, grew up not too far from you, was an accountant, and now I'm trying to build my own business here in New York City, not terribly far away from where I grew up. Um, and I'll give it everything I have, and hopefully it's a success.
It's great, man. There's no doubt that it will be. Where can people go to stay up to date with what you're doing?
Man, I'm on all the social medias, but I'm probably most active on my Instagram account. And you know what? I wish I knew my name, but I'm gonna find it right here.
That's it.
My
I'll link.
Instagram,
I'll link it
yeah,
all in the show notes for people.
yeah, it's just Colin Masterson underscore. That's just who I am. Colin Masterson was taken. One day I will buy it from whoever Colin Masterson is. I don't know who it is, but I will find him.
You'll get it
I will
one day,
find him.
dude. Colin, you're great, man. Thank you. And I'll always remember that time in Villanova Park a lot where you just reached out to help someone that was just starting out. So I appreciate that.
Of course, always, man. I appreciate you having me on, and hope we can have more conversations like this.